Council meeting. In accordance with Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by resolution of the Municipal Council adopted on June 21st, 2022, setting forth the schedule of regular meetings for the year 2022-2023. Said notice was published and posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board by the Office of the City Clerk. Please be further advised, due to COVID-19, this meeting will be in person and virtual stream via Zoom. Public notice and instructions for this meeting was published in the Herald News and posted on December 23rd, 2022 on the City of Passaic website, www.cityofpassaic.com, Council Agendas. Instructions are also available on the last page of this agenda. Please be guided accordingly.
Roll call, please, ma'am.
Councilman Love?
Present.
Councilman Ford?
Present.
Councilman Garcia? And Council President Scheer.
Could you please call for Councilman Monk, I believe. Is he on the phone yet?
Councilman Monk?
All right, we have four to a quorum. Shall we all please rise?
Heavenly Father, we ask you, we thank you for allowing us to meet tonight. We ask you that as we commence this calendar year, Lord, we ask for your wisdom as your guidance, so we continue to govern, Lord, according to your precepts, Heavenly Father. And in your beloved name, so we can continue to do what's right for the citizens and everyone that works within the city of Passaic. In your beloved name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilwoman. For members of the public who are listening, who are here with us tonight in council chambers, or maybe at home watching on Zoom or Facebook or whatever, whatever it is, excuse me. If you are on and would like to get to see tonight's agenda, as well as all of the resolutions, ordinances, minutes, anything and everything is available on the city's website, and we invite you to please go to the website to, number one, see the agenda, see all the resolutions, all the supporting data that the council has received, you will receive as well. It is a cold night, and Mayor, you are with us, and we thank God for that.
You want me to? Oh, okay. Thank you, Council President. In regards to updates to the city, let me begin by wishing all of our residents a happy new year. We haven't seen each other since last year, so we're excited to come back together. Of course, I was going to make that old joke. Something that's specific to today, Council President, to the council members, we had a loss of power that impacted a large portion of our west side. Areas of Paulison, Oak. I just wanted to share with everyone that after confirming with PSENG, it was an odd occurrence that resulted when a bird flew into one of the poles. It had hit a specific transformer right on the exact spot while they were doing work that impacted the loss of electricity. Again, the loss of electricity resulted in a burden on our community. Things were running well, Council President, before they went afoul. However, it was an unpleasant experience for many. Unpleasant experience, and we were excited when the electricity came back. Excited. All right, I made those jokes because the light came back rather quickly. However, there was a question that did get posed by more than just one resident. What happens when there's a loss of electricity that may be a result of work by PSENG that damages appliances or anything in the home? And individuals can submit claims to the PSENG website, to the claims department. It allows individuals to submit their claims specifically to PSENG. I would propose that acts of nature what are often referred to in insurance policies that acts of God may not be covered, but we can't make that determination. So we would advise or direct residents to please visit the website, PSENG, and one of the tabs allows you to make those claims. Council President, as I started, I wanted to give that update because that did impact large portions of our city, including schools. We were able to maintain the community updated throughout the process and communications. Just to let people know, usually what occurs is police, fire, and our representatives that are connected to City Hall through PSCNG notify immediately City Hall what is occurring, and then we try our best to keep the community updated via website, our City Hall website, or through direct communication through social media. So we wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of what occurs, and we try to be consistent in updating afterwards. I had mentioned Happy New Year, and I wanted to update Council President on the pinata drop. The pinata drop was a huge success. It had rained, but so many individuals came out anyway, families. This year, one of the things that most of us noticed was that there were a lot more children present. Families came out. It became very family oriented. We want to thank the restaurants and food trucks that participated. We were so happy after the pinata dropped. Individuals rushed the food trucks and started buying food. So we're always excited when we get partners in this community. Working with our city council, we managed to utilize funds that we were able to raise through activities in the city. I would point to some of the family festivals that allow us to raise funds where we don't pay for the festival. They actually pay us to do the family festivals, and we're able to put aside some funds. Initiatives like this result in us being able to utilize those funds. And this year, we utilized some additional funds to buy what we would refer to as trinkets, or some of the fun gadgets or things that you wear for New Year's, the hats that light up, the glasses, the confetti poppers. And they became very, very important when the pinata, unfortunately, did not open immediately at one, but nobody could tell because so many people in the crowd popped the confetti. So that was a lot of fun. And we are actually now listed on not only Wikipedia, but websites on the internet identifying the city of Passaic as one of the places to go for New Year's when it comes to activities around the world, because we are one of the only cities in the area outside of New York and definitely in New Jersey that has done a New Year's activity consistently every year, meaning that there have been cities that have done something once, cities that have done initiatives maybe once, and then 10 years later once. We have done it every year since we started. So we are now listed along with the ball drop of New York and other events around the
Going to
world.
the Smithsonian, Mayor. This is
It is exciting because of the pinata, because of what it represents. You know, the origin of the pinata, which it comes from China actually, and then spread through Spain and went through Latin America. I always say is a multicultural thing, because no matter what culture you are, when you were a kid and you showed up to a party and you saw a pinata, you got excited. So it applies to everybody, and we were so excited. But because we did a pinata, we were listed as the only city in the world that has ever done a pinata drop for New Year's. So that's pretty exciting. I wanted to share that. As to some government business, Council President, I would like to announce that on top of the $10 million that we were able to secure for the building of a parking deck across City Hall with hundreds of spaces, a parking deck, $10 million that will provide a much needed parking relief, not just in proximity to our main avenue and our Market Street and our Passaic Street, our commercial districts where we have most of our businesses, but also overnight parking, residential parking, especially for Alfred Spear Village, those who reside there, as well as opportunities for parking for schools. This was not an easy task. Getting $10 million from the state, I can tell you, speaking to my colleagues who are also mayors around the state, often they express their concern, the challenges, adversities that they face trying to get money. And they say, Mayor, how is it that you're able to get so much money from the state of New Jersey? Is it your remarkable, charismatic approach? Is it your good looks? Is it the fact that you are just so persuasive? And I answer yes to all of those. However, yes, all of those. I of course point to the fact that it is a collaborative effort working with other leaders around the state, the county, federal government that helps us, having remarkable professionals on our staff that makes us so successful. And then once I'm done giving out the official and professional answer, I tell them, and our council president is also the assemblyman. So that helps us out a little. Not that he doesn't fight to get resources for all of the 36 legislative district, but I would propose to you that Passaic has fared more than well. And I wanted to share that and begin my announcement with that because, we wanted a nice parking deck, a $12 million parking deck. $10 million goes a long way, but we were hoping that we wouldn't have to go into any city funds. And one of the approaches I've taken with my administration is to make sure not to focus on just one single pot of money, but to try to capitalize on all of our relationships. Well, 3 weeks ago, I received a phone call from Senator Bob Menendez, who had shared with me, Mayor, and these were his words. I'll paraphrase, but he said, "Remember that dream project you talked about during COVID? You said, what should we go after?" And I had mentioned to him a bunch of projects in the city, the park and everything, and the parking deck. So he called and said, "Mayor, the money for the parking deck, we were able to pass $4 million through our committee for the city of Passaic." About a week ago, I got a call from Congressman Bill Pascrell, who stated, "Mayor, you know that money that you mentioned during COVID in my meeting with you?" And I said, "Which one?" Because I mentioned a bunch of projects. He said, that parking deck that you were talking about. Well, on the president's desk in that spending bill is an additional $4 million that passed through Congress for the city of Passaic. I can share with you today officially that the city of Passaic received an additional $4 million allocated for the parking deck project, which means that our project now has, yes, $14 million not directly impacting our tax paying residents. And I'm so very excited about that. In terms of a timeline, we're looking at potentially having that parking deck built by 2024. One of the amenities that we are exploring, I had asked our engineers, our business administrator, to explore the potential of putting sensors on each of the parking spaces so that now on your app that you can find on your phone, while you're driving around, it will tell you exactly how many available spaces are in the parking deck. Meaning, if you're coming down from Main Ave, you can check on the app and it'll say there are 20 available spaces, 5 on the first level, 10 on the second level, and so on. Or the parking deck is full and you don't have to drive around to go around. I thought that would be a great addition in exploration as I met with Councilman Daniel Schwartz, and he said, find a way to make the parking availability a lot more technologically beneficial for our community. We had talked about how many people use apps now to make their appointments for haircuts. And similarly, these apps become so beneficial, which will lead to another announcement. Council President, I thought that was very exciting. I also wanted to share with you that our toy drive, our Three Kings toy drive, was a huge success. Thousands of gifts and toys were given to children in the community. I want to thank Fiesta nightclub that traditionally does this every year. We partnered up, obviously, with the city of Passaic, our human services, our recreation department, the Passaic County Sheriff, Richard Burnick, businesses from around the city of Passaic, including Ideal Bakery that they made rosca. The rosca is a traditional bread that's done on Three Kings Day. Three Kings Day is also known as Little Christmas or Women's Christmas or a Green Christmas or 12th Day. It's celebrated in Irish culture as well as Amish culture. What it does is it celebrates the time where the three gifts were given in the birth of Jesus, and it's celebrated culturally around the world, but predominantly in Latin American communities in Ireland, and again, Amish culture. And what happens with this bread, Council President, is it's this special round bread, and there's a little doll inside, and whoever finds the doll is responsible for cooking mole or tamales on the 2nd of February. I share this because I had mentioned that in ancient texts, we believe we found evidence that requires anyone in Passaic that finds a doll to cook these and bring them to City Hall, and it must be tasted by the governing body. That was received relatively well by the community, but I wanted to share that along with other businesses in the city of Passaic, thousands of toys, over 2,000 toys were given. I want to recognize Commissioner Diane McNair of Housing that was present to assist us there on that day, as well as Kathy Martin and so many others who showed up to help out, give out toys, and set up. I also wanted to share that beginning this year, is our 150th anniversary. The city of Passaic is 150 years old. We have a number of activities that have been planned throughout the year. We have a commission, a group of individuals from every ward, representatives from every ward that have met throughout the year to plan out different events and programs to celebrate our 150th anniversary. We will be sending our press release, and we have our calendar that will be sent out to residents honoring our 150th. This year's calendar, Council President, actually features pictures of what the city of Passaic looked like 150 years ago and throughout the 150 years. So I think it's going to be very exciting to share with opportunities for you to see what that location now looks like today. I also wanted to share that the additional veterans banners have arrived to the city of Passaic. Let me just explain that a bit. The veteran banners that we put down Main Avenue, we had received pictures and requests from families throughout the city of Passaic, and those who moved out, they were available to anyone who has been a resident of the city of Passaic or is presently a resident of the city of Passaic that have served our nation. Well, it became so popular that individuals requested, can I still apply? So we sent a second round, and Council President, we received an overwhelming response. I want to recognize Renee Nunez from our outreach and communications, who received all of the requests and submitted these applications. So they arrived, and we'll be putting them up on Main Avenue. If anyone else is interested in applying to have their family member or themselves featured in a banner and they served, please reach out to Passaic City Hall. Go to our website, and you will see where you can submit the application. We're very excited about that. I also wanted to share, we recently met with the postmaster of the post office, Council President, to address a concern, and I thought it was important to share it during the meeting. When property owners move away, we need them to update their address, their mailing address, which is different from their property address. It becomes a real challenge for us in order to communicate with the owner of the property, especially when they have important correspondence with city information, or if there's an emergency and we need to contact the property owner. We will be working with the postmaster along with our agencies here in a collaborative effort to update all addresses. Some of the challenges we face is when addresses don't necessarily match the location, or where the name of the individual doesn't match the address, meaning the property owner lives somewhere else and we're sending correspondence and the tenants are going, we can't reach them. So I wanted to share that because we will be working on initiatives for this. And in the new year, Council President, I'll conclude, I had the opportunity, the privilege, I would go further and say the blessing of meeting with each council member individually, having the opportunity to share the vision of the city and get some direction from them as to what they would like to see in 2023. I was excited and encouraged that each council member came up with unique proposals and address opportunities for us to streamline services. I won't go through them all because this report has been a bit lengthy, but in our next council meeting, I'd like to give a full report as to the suggestions that came from the council members and how we are implementing them. But I will share just a couple. One of them is I had alluded to this app convenience, the convenience of so many people now when they want to get a haircut, you go on your phone and you make an appointment. And then you just meet your barber there at the exact time, 6 o'clock. Your barber's there at 6 o'clock. Similarly, I'm looking to update the services in City Hall for permits, for property owners, for code, construction, things of this nature, where you would go online to make your appointment. No longer will you have to wait to speak to someone or say, I'm trying to get someone in person. You would go online and you would put in, obviously it wouldn't be exact to an hour, but there would be a window that would be made available. So let's say you're going, I need to get my property inspected, or I need construction there, I need fire, whatever it is that you would need. You would pick your window Wednesday, January 17th. The windows available would be from 8 to 12, or from 12 to 2, or from 2 to 4. You would pick it, and then that would go directly to the inspector when he would come into work, or she comes into work, or they come into work, and they would tell them, these are your appointments. That's one of the suggestions that came from conversations with council members, as well as making some ordinances that would make it more convenient for property owners, for renters to receive services. Again, I'll have a more detailed report of that, Council President, at our next meeting. Not only what some of the suggestions were, but how we're moving forward to implement them and improve services. As always, our city continues to improve and rise as a result of collaborative efforts working with this governing body, our directors, and obviously through the support and contributions of our residents. And then lastly, we have Martin Luther King Day that will come up in January. City Hall will be closed. If there are any events, we will make sure to share them via email or at our next council meeting. Thank you, Council President. If there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to address.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much, in all seriousness, for the overview, and thank you for the jokes. Are there any questions for the mayor on his update? Mayor, I just wanted to ask, the cold weather is coming shortly, if not already here. What will the city be prepared to do for those people who need help, who need assistance?
In terms of those that find themselves without shelter, or just in general? If you can. So for those who may not have permanent shelter, may find themselves temporarily displaced, many are aware of our initiative of Dignity House. Now, allow me to explain. Dignity House is not a homeless shelter. I have shared this candidly with the community, and I've shared it on the state, and I've shared it on different forums and panels. I am not a big, for lack of a better description, fan of homeless shelters. We developed something unique in the city of Passaic, which is a resource center. Resource center. In my experience, formerly as a freeholder in the county, I had identified that most homeless shelters end up with individuals just hanging around the shelter, but because of restrictions and certain guidelines and laws, they don't always go inside. So the resource center that we have is just that, is to provide much needed resource in code blue situations, or at times of extreme weather when the temperatures drop to 30 degrees. We bring individuals inside of Dignity House and provide temporary shelter. In the Dignity House, we also have mailboxes. This allows for correspondence that may assist an individual to receive whether assistance from social services, benefits that they otherwise wouldn't have had access to because they didn't have consistent mailboxes or a way to receive this, or communication from family members, and a little bit of dignity in pointing to the name of the house. When you want to apply for a job, it's really hard to say, well, mail my information to City Hall. It's much easier to have an address. Again, during the winters, to your specific question, Dignity House also provides showers, clothing. We receive donations as well as gathered donations of socks and much needed toiletries for residents of the city of Passaic that may be temporarily displaced, or those that deal with chronic homelessness in this particular building, as well as through utility assistance funded through grants and connections through the county and the state. Those who face issues of electricity, and PSE&G already has a policy where they will not cut your gas, your heat, your electricity during these months. But obviously, there are concerns sometimes with weatherization or sometimes assistance that they need with facilitating heaters or making sure that their heat is working properly. The city will facilitate applications or programs or grants in order to help residents access those resources. That's not just for those who are in apartments, but for owners of property. They can reach out to the city and we can connect them to these programs throughout the state. So hopefully that answer how we assist individuals in terms of homeless issues, displacement, as well as those that are in homes that have challenges. And then through inspectors, one of the difficulties that residents face is where do I go if there is no electricity, if there is no heat, if there's something that occurs and the property owner isn't responding. It wasn't PSC&G that cut it off, but we don't have any heat in the house. They can contact City Hall and we will immediately send code, fire, and human services in case we need to relocate families while we're addressing those issues. Hopefully that answered that question, Council President.
Yes, thoroughly, sir. Any other questions for the mayor? Thank you, sir. I'll let the record show that Councilman Monk is on this
Yes,
Zoom.
sir.
I've been asked to take something out of order, and I yield to Councilman Love. Councilman?
Yes, Council President. I'm humbly requesting and respectfully requesting that 47 be dealt with out of order first tonight. I think it's the individual is worthy, and I would love to highlight that at the beginning of this meeting.
With your permission, Councilman Love, resolution appointing Weatherly Frias as acting municipal clerk for the city of Passaic.
Yes.
Second.
There's a motion, there is a second. Is there any objection or conversation? How about a long discussion? Would any? No? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Absolutely.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia, and Council President Scheer.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our new acting.
She's nervous.
Do solemnly affirm I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all of the duties of the office of acting municipal clerk in and for the city of New Jersey, according to the best of my abilities and understanding, so help me God. Ladies and gentlemen, the new acting clerk.
Yeah.
You sure there's no objections, Council President?
Well, Joe never answers.
Right before I sign.
Joe. Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
He said yes.
We are back on the agenda, please. Roman numeral 5, the minutes of our September 6 and September 20 council meetings. Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes presented by the clerk? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept the minutes?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council
Can you hear
President.
me, Weatherly?
I'm sorry, Councilman?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Garcia.
Council
Well,
President Scheer.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Your vote.
Your vote.
Oh, yes, I'm
Thank
sorry.
Council President, if
Mr.
I may, I'm very sorry to come in out of order. I just wanted to explain because it may have begged the question. The reason why we saw in our acting clerk is because at the beginning of the year, it was official, the retirement of the former clerk. I would like to acknowledge her years of service and thank our former clerk, Amada Curling, for her many years of service to the city of Passaic. Her retirement became effective as of the 31st of December, and this being the very first council meeting of the year, it required that we have sworn in our new clerk or acting clerk for the city of Passaic. So I just wanted to give that context.
Thank you for that context, Mayor. We're up to item number 6 on our agenda, hearing of citizens. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 et sec, the council opens every public meeting for comments of the public. However, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of a public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the act participation at any meeting. Therefore, the city council will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias, intimidation, in which any person attempts to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes personally offensive or abusive, defamatory, or profane comments intending to harass or speak any offensive or abusive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish their allotted 5 minutes for public discussion. If you have any questions or would like to make any comments this evening, you can do that by calling in to this meeting. That number is 929-436-2866. Again, 929-436-2866. And enter the meeting ID number 898-9261-2341. That's 898-9261-2341. And please press 9 to indicate that you would like to speak. Madam Clerk, do you have anyone on the line?
Yes, we have someone. They just put their hand down.
They put their hand down. Is there anyone here who would like to address the council? Yes, sir, please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
On the line.
there's someone. Yes.
Yes, my name is Steve Irwin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. May we have your address, Mr. Irwin?
Sure, 331 Dwazline Road. It's the corner of Dwazline and Terhune. If I may speak, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, I live on the corner of Dwazline and Terhune. My house faces Dwazline, and across the street from me, as you know, is Clifton. As you know, there's a project ongoing to put sidewalks into Clifton. The Clifton side has already been done. The road has been narrowed by 5 feet because of the Clifton side being paved. I've been told that the Passaic side is not going to be done until the spring because public service has to move a pole, and public service can't move that pole until it's warmer out. I have observed that since this, even before this road narrowing, Dwazline, as you know, is a speedway. Sadly, a decade ago, my friend Mady died walking her dog on Dwazline, further down, where the road was even wider. May I suggest, at present, there is an unsafe condition. The road is no longer wide enough to support two-way traffic. It is also unsafe for me or my wife to back our car out of Dwazline because of the oncoming traffic. If I may be listened to, I'd like to respectfully request that Dwazline be turned into a one-way street, and Dwazline parking on the Passaic side of the Dwazline Street between Terhune and Amsterdam be prohibited The reason I make this request is because it is, even without parking on that street, the road is now too narrow. If you have a further narrowing in the future, it will become even worse. So my request is very simple. Would you please, on an emergent basis, until the spring, either make Dwaz Line a one-way street and pave it? I want to be clear that I want to be clear and polite that Passaic has not, by Passaic assenting to Clifton's action, they are now a party to a dangerous condition. This is the equivalent of an unattended pothole. As you know, unattended potholes, once a city is made aware of them, become a liability to the city should there be an accident. God forbid we get a head-on crash. God forbid we get a minor crash. It's only a matter of time. So I appreciate your having given me the chance to speak today. I wish you all well. I think the mayor and the council are great people. I appreciate the fact that the mayor came out to meet with us. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions to me, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, sir. You mentioned a number of things that are beyond the scope of this council, at least in terms of our knowledge and information. Certainly in terms of the width, the amount of width of the street, and anything that might have hit you and your family personally in terms of your own driveway. If I could make a suggestion, Mr. Irwin, and that is to give a call to our business administrator, Rick Fernandez. He would be happy to speak with you, and perhaps you could share with him your concerns, and we can find the best possible solution. Can we ask you to call
I
him?
would ask you to please put, if I may, Councilman, you live down the block, you know the street. May I suggest that you bless my request by telling the business administrator that it's coming. I can make that phone call tomorrow morning, but I'd appreciate it if, in the interest of public safety and avoiding death, 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 that you immediately expedite a response to this. I have a further suggestion now that I think of it. You know those signs that...
Mr. Irwin, I believe your 5 minutes is up.
Can you please grant me 30
Forgive
seconds?
but everyone is limited to 5 minutes and 5 minutes only.
Okay, no problem. Have a nice day.
Council President, if I may, I do want to
Mr. Mayor.
share that having met with the group there and been in communication with the governing body of Clifton as well as administrator, I just need to point out that having Dwaz Line become a one-way, Dwaz Line impacts 2 municipalities, so we cannot, unilaterally or without consultation with them, just change the law affecting that particular road. We have requested a traffic study in order to address this issue because this is a concern that was raised a week ago. The engineers are aware of it, but it is something that must be collaborative between both municipalities, and we must be consistent with what the law reads in terms of the width of the road. In terms of potholes or any concerns there, we will have DPW go back out to address the entire road, as many know, because the winter season is not conducive for major road constructions, resurfacing or milling. That's why it's been scheduled for the spring. But if there is an issue of emergency that may impact safety, we will try to expedite. But that communication will keep the council updated on it between our business administrator and the business administrator of Clifton.
That would be excellent, Mayor. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. Mr. Fernandez,
very
if
much,
we can
Mayor.
rely upon you, as per the mayor's comments, to be in touch with Clifton in terms of determining. Yes, gentlemen.
Hi, good evening. My name is Yosef Wolf. I live at 71 Spring Street in Passaic, New Jersey. The mayor earlier mentioned that there was a power outage on the west side of Passaic. I just wanted to thank the mayor for being on top of the power outage on the east side of Passaic before the Sabbath and earlier today as well. The mayor mentioned that he secured another $4 million for this parking garage. I'm curious to know what the obsession with, I'm sorry for using that word, but been very, very busy with this parking garage across from City Hall when often the parking lot across from City Hall is not really full with, and I'm not sure, in Patterson, we have two pretty much empty parking lots that are managed by the Parking Authority of Patterson. And this seems like a lot of money. I know that Route 21 has a lot of potholes. Route 21 has every single day between 5 and 10 minutes of traffic, anyone trying to leave Passaic going north. I'm wondering how much of a priority that is for the mayor. That's a pretty open thing that we have to deal with now. It's not a new thing. And this parking garage, I'm not sure that there's not enough parking across from the city and the city's parking lots that have the city's vehicles, and next to church next door to that. I'm wondering if the city would be open to coordinating garbage collection, which happens on a lot of narrow streets in the mornings with alternate side street parking, which is also not popular.
I'm sorry, didn't hear you, sir.
Alternate side of the street parking is not popular, but at least if we can have garbage collection on the same days, we can maybe have less traffic going down very narrow streets of Passaic, especially when people are trying to get their kids to school. The Three Kings Day, which I understand is celebrated in the Hispanic community, the mayor is, pushed for us to buy a $50,000 billboard to put across the street on the WIC building. Meanwhile, I came to the city and I had a contractor calling the city. There was no mention of them being closed anywhere in there when you call the city, no messages in any department. There was no message on the billboard, which is an expensive billboard. The second one, which we never got, I'm not sure where that one is. There was a little sign on the side entrance of Passaic saying that we're closed for Three Kings Day. I believe that if, a nice amount of employees in Passaic had a day off, but there are many, many people who are not made aware, and they're very inconvenienced like myself. I'm wondering in agenda 42 of tonight, back, I think it was in the 70s, the city was kind enough to lend a building. I wouldn't say lend a building, they conveyed a building to the veterans, the Department of Wounded Veterans. And there was one restriction on there. The restriction was we're going to give you this property for free. But if you stop using the building for its intended purposes, or you want to lease it out, then we get it back. And it seems tonight that that one restriction the city is possibly looking to annul and allow this possibly this potentially very valuable property to be taken by a third party that doesn't need to use it for the intended purposes of what the people that gave it away for. And I'm wondering what that is about.
Do you have anything else, sir?
That's all. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. I'm so sorry that things don't seem to be going well for you in the city of Passaic. Most of us think things are going relatively all right.
Things are amazing at Passaic.
excuse-
Just no, there's no dissent in the
excuse me,
city,
sir.
so I feel like there has to be
Excuse
some
me,
dissent.
sir.
Thank you.
Excuse me, you sat down, you noted that you were finished speaking. You had 5 minutes, you took what you wanted. You know the rules, right? Are you done? So let's deal with a few of the issues that you spoke about, only a few of them. I'm sure we could spend several hours with them. In terms of garbage collection, these are done by contracts. It is very difficult to get these companies to do anything, to get them to coordinate. We currently have them working on schedules which are relatively good, we think. They seem to be working throughout the community. Is there a dearth of parking? There is a dearth of parking. There's a dearth of parking in all of northern New Jersey. That doesn't make the situation any easier, but I'm very proud that Passaic has 2 garbage collections every week and recycling once a week. Our neighboring city of Clifton, I believe, has recycling every 3 weeks and 1 garbage pickup a week, if I'm not mistaken. Next, in terms of Route 21, you might be familiar with that as not a city road. It is a state road, I believe, right? It falls under that classification. The city of Passaic is in constant discussion with the Department of Transportation of the state of New Jersey, getting them to clean that area that is part of within the city of Passaic. It is a constant effort and one which has yielded tremendous returns, I think, compared to what it is that we've had in the past. You spoke about you don't think that there's a need for a parking deck. Appreciate your concern, appreciate your point of view. Uh, for better or for worse, this is a democratic representative government. The people elect members of the council and they directly elect the mayor. And the mayor and the council work together, not together, for, against, whatever. But the point of fact is that under our system, um, the elected official is left to determine what to do and how to do it. This mayor came up with an idea, which he shared with the council, and the council, every person, I believe, I'm pretty sure, agreed that this was a tremendous priority. And the 307 parking spaces that would be generated would be very good for commercial use, extremely good for commercial use. And such a parking garage would have ancillary benefits, such as parking for residents of Spear Village, etc. So the fact that you don't like it, I'm terribly sorry. I hope we can do something that you're more favorable to. But I wish that when you were addressing this council, you would do it with a different air. If your point of view is to be contrary, if your point of view is to throw rocks, that's fine with me. I can do that. I don't think you want me to. I want to have a relationship with everyone I can in the city. I respect people in this city. I hope they respect me. Your presentation earlier, sir, was not one of respect. If you want respect back, you need to give it, because I won't deal with this kind of nonsense again. Anyone else like to address the council, please?
Council President, if I may.
Yes.
Councilman,
Yes, Mr. Wolf, I've sat here idle quite on many occasions, but it's beginning to escalate. Any new initiative that the mayor and the city council is bringing, you find a way to come and shed, I'm not gonna say light, but negativity on it, okay? You clearly say your thoughts about the parking deck, and that's fine. You're a taxpayer, you're a citizen here, and you have the right about your thoughts. But you have to remember, your thoughts should be truly outweighed by the fact that the state of New Jersey has 14 million, maybe? 14 allocated 14 million for the parking deck. This city council has also agreed that the mayor should go forward with it based on not thoughts, but the need of the city. And by many folks, including Council President pointed out, Aspen Place, who, if you come out, and I don't know how often you frequent the city, but if you came out anytime after 6 or 7 o'clock when people are getting home, there's absolutely no parking. And two, if I remember correctly, you came here about a few projects and talked about parking and how we lack parking. But then you come back and talk about the parking deck. I don't understand the logic. Okay, all right, you had an opportunity on many occasions. It's my turn now. Then also, you you have to start maybe consulting with individuals, including the business administrator and other officials, about why we do certain things. To insinuate or to bring up a suggestion that we should coordinate garbage pickup. Our garbage collectors start as early as 4:30 in the morning. We're talking, we have an issue with parking already. Now you're going to be telling people to come out and move their cars to no parks at 4:30 in the morning. Many jobs start later on in the morning, right? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And the city, if you took the time to look at, I've sat here a while. Street sweeping has been developed to take advantage of individuals who's already vacating those areas to go to work. So if you try now, you're going to have garbage pushed back, and garbage won't finish until 3 or 4 o'clock when people are coming back home. So we need to start thinking these things through and consulting, and not going with our thoughts and our feelings about things. This is a 7-person panel at City Council, and administration consists of a whole bunch of individuals led by the mayor and the business administrator. And when things come to our plate, even if we don't agree with them, we need to figure out why, and we need to be we need to practice the democratic part, and we need to ask questions that's going to give us the answers. Thoughts and feeling is there's no place in government for that. It's about facts and what's best for our citizens. So I just encourage you, myself, I'm available as well. I'm willing to sit with you prior to these meetings because it just seems that any initiative you have a real issue with, and we need to get to the bottom of that. Is that just personal, or is it based on facts that may not benefit our city? All right. So I'm encouraging you to reach out to any one of us prior to, so we can have those discussions.
Thank you, Council.
Council President, just to the council for information purposes, I think something was addressed during Mr. Wolf's time, and I just want to clarify. The parking lot across the street is empty in the evening because it's a municipal lot. It is not open to the public. Obviously, when it comes to municipal lots, we don't open it to the public because of potential liabilities. This parking deck would actually be a public parking deck, so it would be available. The lot is not empty because, or rather a result of no interest. We get a lot of requests if we can fill the lot, but again, I'll reiterate, because of liabilities, if we allow vehicles there overnight, anything that happens to those vehicles, we would be responsible for. So this is consistent throughout the city of Passaic. There are certain lots, like at school number 11 off of Myrtle Ave in Montgomery and Monroe, that is a city lot that has shared services with the school and an agreement with the community. There is a police substation there, so teachers get to use that lot. The residents get to use the lot. So there is precedent for initiatives such as this. This parking deck would be the largest initiative like this. I think Patterson was mentioned, and I just wanted to do this for a point of clarity. Patterson actually applied for a parking deck as well. The city of Passaic was one of the only cities to receive this allocation. We do have a couple of city parking areas, as well as a deck on Main Avenue that is constantly used. So we have not identified parking initiatives created that have not been utilized to its full capacity as of right now, meaning the expanded parking opportunities that we provided on First Street, the additional parking by Third Ward Memorial Park with the spaces that we obviously painted out, the additional parking spaces that we created, Second Ward, First Ward, they are all being utilized. We are excited and enthusiastic about the parking deck, but just to point out, the council did request a traffic study when we were considering this initiative, a needs assessment regarding density in the area. The area where the parking deck would be located is identified as one of the most densely populated areas in the city of Passaic. So I just wanted to make sure that these decisions are clearly identified, or rather that we can tell the public they are made in silos. It isn't an autocratic decision. There's a vetting process. It goes through the specific boards, and then the council, often to their credit, sends it back to the board 2 or 3 times to make sure. Sometimes that's a good thing. I would propose always a good thing. Maybe sometimes we want to send back less, but they definitely did their due diligence on this. And though I think every concern that is raised is appropriate, I wanted to share that because sometimes residents aren't privy to the additional information and details in those meetings. And I want to clarify that is a municipal lot. So it is not available to the public. That's why it's empty at night, but it is full during the day for employees. So I thought that was in to our DPW and our police credit, and our council members. When there are potholes on Route 21, it is state property. We're not allowed, not just we don't want to, we're not allowed to go on state property and begin to work on not even the exit ramp or the entrance. But what does occur is there's a process. DPW will notify the Department of Transportation, explain the concerns with the roads. Bureaucracy sometimes causes a delay, and then we reach out to a certain assemblyman who has an office in Passaic, and somehow miraculously the state responds a little quicker. But again, I have to share, it is not our responsibility. They have to address the entire route that belongs to the state, including all the other routes. So I wanted to just clarify on those points, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have anyone who would like to address the council?
Yes, on the Zoom, we have someone with the phone number ending in 5380.
If your phone number ends with the numbers 5480.
5380.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Hello?
5380.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. This is Mary Sadracula, 340 Dwasline Road. I am calling in tonight as only in the capacity of a property owner on Dwasline Road. I would like to piggyback on some things that Steve Irwin said. The situation on Dwasline, I firmly believe Passaic needs to institute a no parking on Dwasline Road in Passaic as the city of Clifton did a few years ago. Steve was correct that the road is narrowed now between Terhune and Amsterdam. It's very easy for you people to prove. I believe you have a city engineer. The roadway was 24 feet. Now it's less than 22 feet. One of the reasons why Clifton instituted no parking and why I believe Passaic should do it is because the roadbed is only 24 feet. As you know, that is basically substandard to have parking even on one side. Specifically across the street from me is Passaic. If cars park there, there's no way that two cars can pass on that road. So while Steve said it should be a temporary measure, I believe it should be a permanent measure. Second, President Shear, you are incorrect. If I may correct you, take the liberty to correct you, that Clifton has garbage pickup twice a week and we have recycling once every other week. So we do still have garbage pickup twice a week here in Clifton as well, which I know most municipalities don't. I'd also like to congratulate the council and mayor. You have done a wonderful job of getting state funds. I'd love to sit down with you and find out how you do it because you get a lot more money than the city of Clifton does. So my congratulations to all of you, and I wish you all a very happy and a healthy new year. But I do hope you take the request to have no parking on the Passaic side on Dwasline Road very seriously and enact it quickly. That's under your jurisdiction to do, and it's very easy. In fact, your engineer is more than welcome to use the wheel that I bought to measure the road. And again, it is narrowed in between Terhune and Amsterdam, but I do believe that there should be no parking. As you know, Passaic begins on the easterly side from West Parkway through Brook Avenue, and then approximately midway between Terhune and Amsterdam, it becomes both sides of the road is under the Passaic jurisdiction. So again, thank you for hearing me, and I wish you all well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I believe this council should be wishing you congratulations on your recent election, I believe.
Thank you, yes. Thank you, I appreciate
Congratulations,
that.
if I may. As you can imagine, and we appreciate the point that you've raised, as well as the gentleman before you, Mr. Irwin. Obviously, it would seem that there are some things which need to be looked at, investigated, whatever. And if there's any negotiations that needs to take place, and I don't think that any of that right now is best served at this council meeting. The council has literally no information on this development. We obviously would need to turn to the mayor and his administration to better understand it. And before that, I would hope that there could be some discussions with Clifton's township manager and our own business administrator to look at the situation and give us the benefit of their good advice.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we have someone with the phone number ending in 7120.
Yes, that would be me. Thank you. Steve Siclosi, 23 Orchard Street, Passaic. Couple of things on tonight's agenda that I'd like some clarification on. The first one is on number 34, the authorization of and purchase of goods and services via the state contract. if you could elaborate on what exactly we're purchasing there, because I was kind of under the assumption that we use the state contract for most of our purchases anyway. So I'm just wondering why that was singled out on the agenda. If you could, Council President, if you could enlighten me on that, that would be helpful. The other one was, I'm gonna find where my notes are. Oh, the other one was on number 49, no stopping or standing. Is that a certain area, or are we changing the ordinance with regard to stopping and standing? If you, Council President, or our Business Administrator, Mr. Fernandez, could again give some explanation on that, I think that would be helpful in clarifying what exactly is going on there. The last thing that I wanted to mention was, or I actually want to ask a question about, and I'm hoping that we have some representation from our police department, either perhaps Chief Guzman or Deputy Chief Gentile or Sheriff, if they're on the line or available. I'm looking for some clarification. I've noticed the proliferation of these small, I'm going to call them school bus vehicles, not the traditional yellow, 40 passenger or whatever they are, large school buses, but these smaller van type vehicles that have the S2 school plates. I've noticed them in and around my neighborhood, parking overnight. To me, they seem to be very similar to a commercial vehicle because they have markings on the doors that say, some kind of private transportation company. A lot of them are not in Passaic. It'll say, for instance, Hackensack or Patterson or wherever, the company is headquartered. They're parking these vehicles and taking up parking spaces, which, we've been talking a lot about parking this evening, in and around the neighborhood. My question is, are these legal to park there? What's the difference between these types of vehicles and, say, a landscaper that, has a truck, with his name on it, and he's doing lawn maintenance or something, and he wants to park his pickup truck? Now, I know that's not legal in the city. So my question is, number one, are they legal? And if they are, why are they legal and someone with a similar size vehicle, maybe with commercial plates, can't park it? So, again, parking is always an issue. And I've noticed quite a few of these in and around my neighborhood that are taking up spaces. So I'm concerned about it. So I'd like to get clarification on whether or not these vehicles can be parked overnight. And if they can't, then could we maybe step up some enforcement and, issue appropriate warnings, et cetera. Lastly, I wanted to comment about the parking deck. I've addressed this council many times, questions and concerns about parking. And I think that it's wonderful that we've gotten the funds from the state and the federal government to build this parking deck. I think what some of the people need to realize is it's not just what we need today and our needs today. So maybe one of the gentlemen that was not in favor of the deck needs to consider, well, it's not just today, but what's going to happen down the road. There's a lot of building going on, a lot of redevelopment going on in the city of Passaic. And I think that by the mayor and the council obtaining these funds, I think it's a good thing. It's not going to put a tremendous dent, hopefully, in the taxpayers' wallets. And yet, I think it's a good thing to help relieve some of the parking situations that have arisen over the last several years. And I also want to commend the mayor on the other initiative, which I see a lot of people, and myself included, we park in front of our own driveways. I think that was a great thing that happened and freed up a lot of parking spaces in and around the city. So again, kudos to those that are thinking ahead and thinking about some of these parking problems. So did want to mention that. That's all I have tonight, Council President. Again, if you could help me out on item number 49 and item 34, elaborating a little bit on those, I think that would be helpful. Thank you.
Good deal. Thank you, Mr. Ciclozzi. You had asked questions on a few areas. First, on number 34. Number 34 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of goods and services via New Jersey state contracts and cooperative purchasing agreements. This resolution gives the city the ability to work with other municipalities, as well as the state of New Jersey in terms of getting best price at required base, right? In other words, what is advertised is ABC. The response must be the best response in terms of ability, as well as the cost factor then becomes a play. So this is simply reaffirming what we do. I believe we need to do this each and every year, Mr. Fernandez, with all of these groups. I believe we are involved in about 5 or 6 of them. Does memory serve me right?
Yeah, so there are several. It's growing. The list is growing, which is a good thing because it allows us greater options for the better pricing, and it is an annual one. It basically is exactly what you said. It allows us to purchase things from these items. The state of New Jersey, under the local public contracts law, will not allow us to purchase off these items unless there's a resolution as such, which is this is the annual resolution granting that permission for us to go out to these state contracts and municipal co-ops.
And since we have you here, Mr. Fernandez, if you wouldn't mind, 49.
Yes, so there's been a lot of discussion this evening about roadway widths and the ability for parking on either side. This is Schneider Place. Schneider Place, forget about 24 feet. Schneider Place is almost like 14 to 12 feet wide along a multifamily building that's pretty much an alleyway that then leads to 3 other houses. That is the extent of Schneider Place. And people have decided to park along the Schneider Place curbing, pretty much in essence blocking all of Schneider Place. So this makes it clear that there is no parking permitted on Schneider Place because of the width of the street.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Whether anyone else on board?
No, sir, not on the Zoom.
If there's anyone who would like to speak with us, let me share the information with you again, and that is to please call 929-436-2866 and enter the meeting ID number 898-9261-2341, and please press 9.
Joe Conoscente, 170 Broadway. Happy New Year to everybody. Good health. All right, we're going to start off with hometown banners. I've been picking them up off the street. I've been dropping them off at City Hall. I studied it a little bit and I came up with an idea. If you get a company that you can get these caps reasonable, you can cap the banners. This way, when you get the heavy wind, like we had back in December, November, maybe there, we won't be losing banners because they cost money and there was a lot of time put into these. So I'm asking if it's anywhere possible as of tomorrow for my brothers that came off, that I found it in the cenotaph, somebody put it there. If I can have these caps put on by DPW. I can make them white, any color that they're supposed to be, because the poles are white, so I can make the caps white. I have the caps, just need them put on with the banner, because I have the banner home.
If you're asking permission, the answer is we cannot give it to you, sir.
Give me one.
We cannot give you permission. I don't know if the administration can either. It is potentially
It's through DPW.
It is
they do it
potentially
anyway.
a situation where you could trip and fall and the city would be held.
How are you going to trip and fall if they're up in the air?
Mr. Conoscente,
You just got a pole and just adding a cap to it to hold the banner on so they don't come off.
You're correct.
It's safety.
We cannot give permission to do this tonight. We would need to look at it. We would need to meet with the DPW and see if there's.
It's a no-brainer.
You heard that, sir?
My next question is parking meters. I've been brought it up a couple times already. And what I came up with, like back in the 80s, they used to do when we had meter mains. I made a little thing over here. You have a piece of chalk on a stick or a pole and you mark the tires every 2 hours. This way you know who's there, who don't belong there. They there longer than they're supposed to be with the meter, they get a ticket. Very simple. Revenue for the city. A little bigger issue here. Everybody's concerned about children. We got school 16 over there on Main Avenue. Only one that they kept out of all the annex and all the renter schools. For some reason, they only kept this one. But my issue that I have here is you have two brand new spas. One is on Prospect Street and one is on Broadway. They use the word spa, this way they get away with it. But these are all massage parlors throughout the city, in fact. But this is what concerns me. You're right across from an administration building and you're right across the street from School 16 and you got these whorehouses there. It's terrible. If you go on Monroe Street, Main Avenue, across from McDonald's, you got another one there, which is a block from School 21. And the biggest one of all, if you go on Central Avenue, you have a pediatrics for children, a building. Inside this building, you got Tokyo Massage Parlor. You have a tattoo parlor. That Tokyo Massage moved from Monroe Street to Central Avenue. Everybody knows these places, but nobody does nothing about it. And here's another one. You got Main and Brook Avenue. They changed the owners maybe about 5, 6 times already. And there's another massage parlor. Everything goes. And going back to Broadway and Prospect, they're 24 hours. I don't know if you know that, but they're 24 hours. My last one I have here. I brought it up at the last meeting, December 19th, about the property on 413, 417 Paulson Avenue. By the administrator stated that they get a tax break. If you got every quarter, which is every 3 months, so maybe you have sometimes four quarters. So you mean to say the 4 quarters, they get free taxes on that property? What are they planning to do with this lot that's been in court for a few years now? These are my questions that I have.
You just asked a number of things, and I'm trying to determine, Mr. Conoscente, what were questions and what were statements. What an immediate question, Mr. Fernandez, 413 to 417. Is that potentially in litigation right now?
Yeah, so that's actually settled, and we're hoping that the one thing that is left is the permitting process. So now the discussions between the lawyers is the updates to the permits, because it has been vacant for quite some time, but this was part of a major lawsuit. We're at the point now where we're looking at reviving the construction permits so that the project can be completed. So that's the status where we are now.
Okay. Susie, you're the attorney for the city of Passaic. The gentleman walking down the street, one of the banners that was placed there, and the banners are absolutely magnificent. There are heroes of this country, and it's fallen onto the ground. What can he do, if anything, to fix the situation?
So if you have a solution that you were telling us about to fix the situation, you should bring it to the administration. But these banners, we don't want you risking any injury to yourself to put it back up.
You're not listening to me. DPW has put it back up.
Okay.
I already talked to them.
The DPW is free to put back up the banners, but you're proposing that there's a gadget.
I'm just my own idea. I have this piece here. I want to have them, if I can, by the council, to have these put up on the banner for my brothers that the banner fell down in the storm.
Council
Which is
President,
more, which is
Council
more
President,
dangerous.
Council
Putting these
President
on
Mayor,
Well, have them go
Mr.
on somebody's head.
Condescenty, Mr.
Mr.
Condescenty,
Conseni, if I may, Council President, through the Council President,
Well, I-
um, just to let Mr. Conseni know and update the council, we did have strong winds during December, which blew the banners off of the poles. One of the solutions that the DPW has been exploring is zip ties. We've been putting them back up in zip tie. I would advise everyone in the community, if you locate a banner and safely retrieve it, I think what the attorney was sharing was please do not go into traffic to try to retrieve them. We think your motive is noble, to honor these veterans. However, we do not in any way want to imply that we expect citizens to retrieve them. Some have, and we would advise that if you have safely retrieved the banner that came down, please bring it to City Hall. We will provide them, or take them right back to DPW. They have put them on. As towards the suggestion of how to secure the banner on the poles, I believe that is what Mr. Condescendi is trying to share, whether or not we would order these additions to the poles that would secure the banners. We will explore that option. We have explored the zip ties. So far, it's working. It's a less expensive option. I think the idea of a permanent secure cap may work. We are going to check with other municipalities. I think they similarly, Council President, had the same issue with the strong winds. We spoke to some and they had to pick up their banners. What may be a challenge with the cap, unless we can find a guarantee that the cap won't be blown off as well, we may be searching for banners and caps. So if it can be secured, Mr. Condescendi, again, I don't
Have
know the
little
product.
screws right
I
here that
understand,
holds
Mr.
it
Condescendi, if I may, through the Council President, just for the order of the council meeting, of Robert Rules of Order directs all things through the Council President, or rather communications. Council President, if we can have the opportunity to explore the item, perhaps Mr. Condescendi could share the details of the item to the business administrator. Tomorrow, we'll go through our purchasing agent. We'll explore that product. We'll compare that product to the products that are used in other municipalities. If the zip ties work, that's easily replaceable. If other municipalities, and this is more for residents who aren't privy to those details in the process, if the cap has been shown to be blown off in other municipalities, that becomes an additional expense because now you have to locate the cap, get the banners on. But we are exploring how to secure it. And I want to thank Mr. Condescendi for taking the proactive measure of trying to figure out solutions. We're appreciative, but as the attorney was stating, we have to be very careful with any approach, especially when it comes to residents that may result in injury to the resident, or if that cap was to blow off and hit someone and we didn't do our due diligence and didn't go through the safest study to ensure that we have an effective solution. But I'm not discounting that study. We will explore it. Any suggestion that comes from our residents, we will explore through the Council President. Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I think that is the best response that we could ever hear. Councilman, did you wish to see Councilman Love?
Yeah, just one of the things that Mr. Condescendi talked about school 16. I don't know if you're aware. I know this is not the Board of Education meeting, but I just happen to have some information. As of last board meeting, the Board of Education has voted to close school 16 as of June 30th. All right, so I know you're very concerned about that building being one of the last annexes, so I just wanted to share that information with you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr.
Don't
Condescendi,
have any other issues?
your time is up, sir. Thank you very much.
Can answer the other questions, right?
Sorry, sir, time is up.
I know you don't want to hear it.
Anyone
No, sir.
seeing no hands? Is there a motion, please, to?
We have a hand, the Deputy Mayor.
Yes, sir. Excuse me, Deputy Mayor.
Edwin Garcia, 65 Blaine Street. Quickly, I want to thank the council president. I know he had a busy day watching the state of state. I happen to work with one of your colleagues at the school level, Miss Assemblywoman Linda Carter. So she shares with me all the fun you guys have at the State House. So I just wanted to say that. I know it's difficult to do that all day and then come here and everything else that you do.
It's actually a relief, Deputy Mayor. If you want to know.
I just also wanted to mention to Mr. Wolf, if you go to the city's website, it has a calendar where it shows that the city hall was closed on the 6th. One of the things that I love about the city of Passaic is our diversity and the fact that we get to learn about each other and find out all these things. And the mayor has been very proactive in sharing information on there. You don't have to have a Facebook account to watch his Facebook videos. A lot of people don't know that. You can just go on Facebook. It is a public video, so you can watch it without signing up to Facebook. So just so everybody knows that. But it is on the website that City Hall was closed on the 6th. Additionally, I want to thank the council. The last 6 years, it's going to be 6 years. I've had the privilege to serve as deputy mayor, and being able to work with a lot of you and learn from a lot of you has been a privilege for me and an honor, as well as being able to serve the city of Passaic, a town that I grew up in and was born in. Today, I'm 45. There's a continuation of my term, hopefully, and I just want to thank everybody, and I hope to continue to, in my capacity.
You taught you well.
Okay, I try. I do want to say that I did appreciate the quick response, because as you can imagine, when you're in a school with 2,400 students, teenagers, which I have the privilege of doing as an assistant principal, everybody cried a foul when the lights went off, and I didn't know how we was gonna get through it, but the mayor and everybody else who, the response was impeccable. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Thank you.
I'm sorry, is there anyone else who would like to address the council?
Seeing no hands, I move to close the public portion.
Second. Motion and second to close the public portion. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia, and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're up to Roman numeral 7 on our agenda. Number 1, proposed ordinance 2374-22, an ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Hearing is required. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing? Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia, and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the council is now deliberating proposed ordinance 2374. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this ordinance and this ordinance only? For information of everyone, there will be, according to this ordinance, is 407 handicap parking spaces. There are currently 408. Seeing no hands, is
We
there a
have one
motion
person
to-
on the line, Council President.
I'm sorry, ma'am,
We have one person on the line.
please.
Phone number ending 7120.
7120.
Yes, Steve Siclozzi, 23 Orchard Street. Council President, you answered my question. Once again, your telepathy is remarkable in knowing that I was going to ask about what the count was. So thank you very much. Question has been satisfied. Thank you.
You're going to stop clock is right twice a day, right? Thank you, Stephen. We had a motion, we had a second to close public, yes?
Yes.
The vote was satisfied?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Is there a maker of the motion, please? Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. That was on the ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Number 2, please. Proposed ordinance 2375-22.
Council President.
An ordinance amending chapter,
We're missing one roll call.
I'm
Your
sorry?
vote. Your vote.
Yes, I'm sorry. I vote yes on the.
We need a maker.
75-22, an ordinance amending chapter 39, Police Department, Article 6, off-duty police services, Section 16, payment for off-duty police services, and Section 17, administrative services and fees of the City of Passaic Code. Mr. Fernandez, can you help us understand this, please?
Yes, Council President. So this ordinance serves two different purposes. One is several years ago, the city council had a proposal from the mayor and the administration, went to a third-party scheduler for off-duty jobs for the police department. Some of the public service agencies that we deal with required an ordinance for them to not hesitate in payment of these services. So what we did is we amended the ordinance to include that language. That's why you'll see the administrative fee and the actual fees. And then the second thing that it did is what you'll notice in the amendment is that at one time it said the hourly rate for Board of Education services and had no discussion and was silent on what the charge would be for the municipality. So currently, the off-duty police would be charging the regular rate for they would at any other facility and not a city-run job. As this council's been aware, we have negotiated at the direction of the mayor with the PBA, which has also conceded and accepted this hourly rate so that the city of Passaic in their city jobs can save the taxpayer dollars and be able to have off-duty security services which are required for these jobs at a much lesser rate.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. We've opened public hearing.
No.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing on 2375-22?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the council will be deliberating proposed ordinance 2375. If you would like to address the council on this item and this item only, we would welcome your comments.
We don't have anyone on the line.
There seems to be no one who wishes to
Seeing no hands, move to close the public portion.
Second.
Sorry, Council President.
no, sir. Thank you.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We have open public. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on proposed ordinance
We
2375?
just closed
We
it.
just closed this one.
We need to
We
make sure.
took the vote.
Yes.
Are
Oh,
we
I'm
to
definitely
adopt?
going back to Trenton.
You're too relaxed. He's too relaxed.
Is there a motion, please, on number 2? Is there a motion?
So move it, Council
There's a
President.
motion. Is there a second? Motion and second to vote on the ordinance.
Yes, all of us.
All of us.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you.
We need to
Next.
vote also to adopt item number 1.
He said next.
Number 3,
Number 1.
number 1.
You didn't do the vote to adopt that
I
one.
didn't vote. I vote.
No one did.
No one.
We need to do the roll call.
We didn't do the roll call.
Please do the roll call.
I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you.
Item number 3 now.
Item number 3. This is a vote on the ordinance.
We're gonna open. public
We're going
hearing.
to open for public conversation and discussion. 2376-22, which is number 3. Is there a motion, please, to open?
So move it, Council President.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second to open discussion.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes.
And Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the council has voted to open public discussion on the proposed ordinance 2376. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this ordinance and this ordinance only?
You have a hand.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. I live at 71 Spring Street. I think my windows are still intact.
I'm sorry, a little bit louder. Mr.
I live at 71 Spring Street in Passaic, New Jersey.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
My question is regarding this block and lot number 3272.01, lot 11. I believe that the city of Passaic, besides for needing multi-family housing, there's many other needs of the city. In fact, we have the mayor has been pushing for farming in the city, despite my reservations about the potential erasure of taxes on that property. There's an ecosystem in the city. The city has an ecosystem. There's a lot of needs in the city for businesses, for offices.
I'm going to call you to the ordinance, sir.
Yes.
The ordinance, as I'm sure you've read, adopts a redevelopment plan for 312-328 Broadway.
On this plot currently, there is parking for a lot of buses that are used by people in Passaic and beyond. And my question is, if you go down Liberty Street, all the way down to Clifton, and on Hoe Avenue, really on the left side, Hoe Avenue has on the right side, between Hoe Avenue and Broadway, there is some residential. But on the left side of Liberty, and going all the way down to Clifton, and past Hoe Avenue, even on the right side, there's absolutely no residential whatsoever. It is all commercial. And my question is, by the city now taking a plot of land in the middle of, not even on Liberty Street, it's cut into Liberty Street. My question is, now the city's committing kind of to any future developer, saying that the future lots behind this are in a residential area. And my question is, right now it's being used by school buses. We need a lot of things in the city besides housing. We need housing, but if we just do housing and we don't think about any other needs, in the future, there will be no going back. That's my first concern. My second concern is this ordinance brings down in the presentation, it quotes other municipalities, their views on development, and it quotes over there that we should have the ability for people to live and buy housing, to have ownership of houses. It quotes that we should have in Patterson future uses. We shouldn't lock up all land now. We should be able to have some land left for future growth.
Mr. Wolf, I'm going to call you to the question, please. I'm calling you to the ordinance and the ordinance.
To redevelop this plot of land between Hoe Avenue and Broadway, I'm asking, first of all, I would like to ask directly, is the entrance going to be from Hoe Avenue or is the entrance going to be from Broadway? Because right now, Broadway is a very busy street and it doesn't have access to Liberty Street. And I'm wondering, most of the property is under the underpass. There's a very small piece of land that's connected to Broadway. Is the entrance going to be on Hoe Avenue or on Broadway? My second reservation is you're committing to multifamily in a commercial zone. This is a commercial zone. Why don't we leave it as a commercial zone? And we'll have future, if we need multifamily in the future, we can develop it then. Why are we rushing to take a piece of land in the middle of this? It's not even on the edge of Liberty. Why are we rushing to now commit to multifamily in this area? It doesn't seem, and there's extra, and another question I have for the commissioner is, we always speak about ratables. What is the cost to the city? And have we discussed with I know Dr. Love is a principal, but have we discussed with the school board if they have room for all the kids?
Sir, I'm calling you back. I cannot allow this to continue. To answer your questions, I'm going to ask the business administrator to fill us in, everyone sitting here. But let me be very clear. This is a recommendation that is coming to this council from the administration, specifically from the planning board. The planning board has investigated, has met with, in public session, open to the public for comments and considerations. It is a long and lengthy process involving weeks, if not months, if not even greater than that. This council meeting is not the appropriate venue for the kind of specific and particularistic comments and questions that you have. It is the role of the committee, in this case, the redevelopment or the planning board.
Which canceled the last 3 meetings, yeah.
They might have canceled the last 20 meetings here, but this has been heard by the board, whether it was 21 meetings ago or this morning. Well, not this morning. Statutorily requires, I believe, 3 days, right? So if you have interest in this, I'm going to ask Mr. Fernandez to answer, right? I recognize that you don't know the laws in terms of presentations to the council. Few people do. But the bottom line is your interest. We appreciate that interest. I would tell you that in the future, if you have such concerns, get a copy of the transcript of the board itself, attend the board meetings, speak to the board commissioners, etc. Mr. Fernandez, can you help us with understanding proposed ordinance 2376-22?
Yes, Council President. I'd just like to say that at the last council meeting, which was actually this past Wednesday, the last planning board meeting, which was this last Wednesday, the board planner, David Trost, went over the whole litany of specifics on this parcel, and Mr. Wolf was also in attendance at that meeting when we were holding the hearing, and it went into specificity from our planner. What this does, this is a site, just for the recollection of the.
Just a moment, would you mind? Yeah. Are you telling this council that a question that Mr. Wolf had in planning, the exact same question is being asked of this council?
I can't recollect exactly the question, but similar, yeah, they were similar conversations.
Is that the case, Mr. Wolf?
And the meeting was not canceled, that's correct.
Is that correct, Mr. Wolf?
No, I did not ask anything on this particular ordinance, no. Not in this plot, no. Not on Broadway. It was a question about Oak Street.
But you did with others.
This is a totally different project.
But you did with, I'm trying to establish whether or not you know how things operate. I'm trying to give you.
Yes, I was by the
planning. Wide berth.
I was by the planning board meeting, Council President, and I was there because I was by a different council meeting, and they told me that everything is a very long process with many steps, and there's a lot of checks and balances. So I went, and the council meeting is not the place. It's at the planning board. So I went there, and I saw over there that things are approved extremely fast. Almost someone that wants to put a deck on their house, it takes
Mr. Wolf,
longer.
I thank you very much for your comments.
It was 9 minutes, and we approved everything.
I thank you very much for your comments, sir. Anyone else like to address the council on this proposed ordinance only? Seeing no hands, is there a motion, please, to close public?
So moved, Council President.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes. We just closed public
Yes,
hearing.
public, yep.
So we now need a motion to accept the
So
Yes, sir.
move it, Council President.
Second.
motion and second. Roll call on the ordinance.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. The ordinance is passed.
Yes.
We're up to Roman numeral 8 of our agenda, communications, items 4 through 16. Are there any questions, please, on 4 through 16? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept 4 through 16?
Move it.
Motion
Second.
and second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk, Councilman Monk, Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. All matters listed here under to be considered routine in nature. Items 16A to 21. Are there any questions, please, on 16A through 21? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept 16A to 21?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk, Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're on resolutions, Roman numeral 9 of our agenda. Number 22 is a resolution authorizing closed executive session of the City Council of the City of Passaic on January 10th. Ma'am, do we need any?
Not at this time, Council President.
Very good. Mr. Fernandez, do we need any closed executive?
No, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
None at this time, Council President.
Thank you, sir. Members of the council. Very good. If we could go straight into the resolutions, beginning with Resolution 23, going to 46. This council having already passed 47, which was the appointment of the acting municipal clerk. No, sir. We're in the meeting now. It is not public portion. It is the work session of the meeting. No, sir. You can wait till the end of the meeting. Be happy to meet with you or anyone else. Are there any questions, please, on 23 through 46?
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion, please, to accept?
So move it, Council President.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk, Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. We're up for ordinances for introduction and first reading, Roman numeral 1048. The proposed ordinance authorizing municipal nonpartisan early voting in the city of Passaic as authorized by NJSA 19:ISA-1 et sec. This will be for set down at our next meeting on January 24. Is there a motion, please, to accept 48?
So move it.
Motion and second, roll call, please, on 48.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. We're up to 49, please. An ordinance amending Chapter 295, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 12, Schedules, Section 22, Schedule 3, no stopping or standing of the City Passaic Code. Is there a motion, please, to accept for set down for second and final reading at our meeting of January 24? Motion, please.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk, Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. Number 50, proposed ordinance amending the city code of the city of Passaic, Chapter 295, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 16, Bus Stops, Section 38, Locations to delete and relocate bus stops on Dayton Avenue. Is there a motion, please, to accept for second and final reading at our next meeting of January 24?
Move it.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. We are up to 51. 51, an ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Is there a motion, please, to set for second and final reading at our meeting of January 24th?
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you very much. Payment of bills. Are there any questions on the bills? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept the bills as presented to the clerk by the administration?
Move it.
Motion
Second.
and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. Administrator's report, Mr. Fernandez.
None at this time, sir.
Very good, sir. Mr. Mayor?
Council President, first, I want to thank Deputy Mayor Julio Mora, who will no longer be in the role. That was item 16A. This resolution that it was presented, or rather communication to the council, was to acknowledge that he will no longer continue in that role, but I want to thank him for his service. I also want to congratulate Deputy Mayors Edwin Garcia, Deputy Mayor Minnie Hillier Cousins, Deputy Mayor Juan Miguel Duran. As Deputy Mayors, I appoint these individuals to be almost ambassadors to the community. However, with this new year came the opportunity to set forth a more important and cooperative precedent with the council for reappointments each year that allows us to assess the work, the contributions of these individuals in these roles, understanding that these roles are honorific but extremely important in terms of outreach. We are always encouraging community members to participate with our city. Council President, this isn't typical of my reports, but I ask if you indulge me just a bit. A statement was made earlier. I know our chief of police was here, but he left, and I thought it was an important statement to address regarding illegal activities in certain businesses that are identified as spas. I want the public to be aware that they have been shut down a number of times. Police have responded to these. I will not cover or try to play games here. I want to be very transparent. We are aware of illegal activities. We are not alone in the state of New Jersey, and I propose to you in the United States of America with this challenge. It is an extremely difficult situation to address, not because we don't want to. There's been a couple of these establishments we've shut down 5 or 6 times. And with this council support, and I want to thank you, we actually introduced more restrictive ordinances that ensured that individuals had to be licensed, fingerprinted. To residents who sometimes come to the city and go, I don't understand how a business exists or how illegal activities exist in a city when you guys have addressed it. I, like these residents, desire so much to live in this amazing and remarkable utopic um, eh, city that most of us fantasize about. It's not possible. Crime occurs. Our police chief is on top of it. We've worked in collaborative efforts with our county law enforcement, with our prosecutor, with the attorney general. We have addressed through ordinances legally. A business is allowed to reapply for a license if they meet all of the requirements. If I may, and again, I do ask for this indulgence, Council President. I know you've had the longest day. You've been in Trenton all day. You listened to the state of the state. You answered every question. You did the interviews. But I think it is important to address some of these issues to the community. Imagine a liquor store illegally sells liquor to a minor. If I may, it may be a flawed analogy, but I want to make sure that you understand. And we shut them down. The liquor store, unless it owns the building, it may rent from a property owner. That liquor store leaves. I come and I want to put a new liquor store under a new name. I have the license. I meet all the requirements. I have not, at least on record, done anything wrong. The city cannot discriminate on the kind of business because the previous establishment had engaged in illicit illegal activity. So the second liquor store sells to minors. We shut them down. And we start identifying that maybe somebody is reopening under a different name, a different individual. They've learned how to capitalize or take advantage of the loopholes. I'm as frustrated as you. This council is as frustrated as the residents. If it was up to us, we would shut them down permanently. We have addressed and even proposed ordinances to address the property and say, you can never open that kind of business in that property. And then we received the response from the state. You cannot legally restrict any business from operating prior to committing an offense because you think that the probability of them committing the offense is high. We would be challenged in court. We would expend a lot of resources and money in trying to defend these cases. We would send a message. Some municipalities do it. There's been hotspot ordinances. Sometimes when you identify that there's delinquency or crime areas that are of concern, and then you shut down in that area. It is much more challenging, the adversity that we face in terms of a kind of business. I agree with you. I would wish these businesses were not present. Wish there was greater oversight. It would come from state legislation to address the property owners. What we will do, and we will propose to the council, and in conversation with the council, I want to make clear that when I make a decision as a mayor, I don't autocratically decide things or work in a silo. I have conversations with my colleagues in the governing body, with the administrator, with our city council, our attorneys. We will propose an increase in fine that will impact the property owner when we identify illegal activity because of a certain business and try to deter or at least incentivize, maybe by offering some greater assistance if they choose another business. But we walk a very fine line when it comes to this. And I wanted to be very clear in addressing this. I also want to address for the public, the location on Broadway, Council President, is actually designated as residential/commercial. a commercial slash residential. So it is a conforming use. A statement was made, we do need housing. I believe that that's the way it was stated verbatim. We do need housing, but we would like for the city to explore other things. I would suggest maybe like parking decks. Yeah, I would propose that we have explored other things besides residential. Mr. Wolf, I have to. We are trying to balance. We are, and I would tell the public, this is a little unprecedented. We are one of the only municipalities that when you consider development in our city is about 50% industrial and 50% residential in terms of the development. We have quite the balance. The challenge is, and this is appropriate from residents, I think pushback is okay. I think the spirit and the nature of the pushback is up for debate, but pushback is okay. If we go, we've just opened up an opportunity for a warehouse on Jefferson, Panasol, even though it was followed for 30 years, and someone says, well, why a warehouse? Why didn't you make residential? And we go, well, we just provided residential on Market Street. And say, yeah, but that residential doesn't have affordable housing or workforce housing. All right, well, we just proposed workforce housing. They go, well, why do you do afford? We're never going to make everyone happy. We understand that. But we are pretty balanced. We've received an extremely high rating from the state on our good governing. We have just received a report of an additional $14 million of assessed value in our city. We went up from last year. That is positive news in terms of tax relief. I understand the debates that can happen, but it's better than the other way around. If the report was we lost 14 million. So look, I wish that there was one initiative that would resolve all of the issues. But I have to say this, and I know I've done it before. This council works extremely hard. The administration tries to the best of our ability to be balanced in our approach. The residents, I genuinely believe, care. I don't believe anyone comes up with malice, whether it's an issue of a banner, whether it's an issue of development, whether it's a question of why this approach. I think deep down people are passionate and they really want to know what we're doing. And we try very hard to answer the questions, to be transparent, but we are not perfect. And in our desire to make sure the city operates well, we go through all the levels of checks and balances. And we make sure that you can approach us after meetings. The council president is charged, forgive me, council president, if I speak on your behalf, but I've had the privilege of seeing him serve as council and on the state to run an orderly meeting, to maintain decorum, level of civility in the exchange, to ensure that those that watch us, whether on video, those who are present, those who come by in other municipalities know that we're a city that cares, that we take business seriously, but we don't waste time. Time is probably one of the only things that you can lose so easily and never get back. You lose money, you can regain it. You lose time, you don't get it back. So we make sure that our meetings are effective to that extent. And I want to thank our council. I want to thank those who volunteer on planning board, zoning board, redevelopment board, parking authority. They don't get paid. And they vet these projects. They meet separately. They sometimes go through months of meetings. We have council representatives on each of these boards, redevelopment, zoning, planning. They'll meet for 4 months. They'll debate, some would propose ad nauseum, one issue, and then someone might show up to the last meeting where there's approval and say it was only 9 minutes. Go, well, you're not considering the last 3 meetings where they debated it for an hour, and then they got all the answers that they needed. And then, if I may, and I'll conclude with this clarification, a question was asked on one of the ordinances, and I want to make sure, because we're always transparent, Council President, there was an amendment made to a particular not-for-profit. The DAV, the spirit of the agreement between the city would be that the DAV would have full control of a property on 522 Paulson Avenue. However, it was made in 1957. restricting that not-for-profit from engaging or partnering with any organization. And that would limit them, the DAV is Disabled Veterans of America, from partnering, let's say, with the VFW, Veterans of Foreign War, the American Legion, or any other not-for-profit. That limitation restricted them, which made sense in 1957. It was upheld in the 70s and continued on. If the DAV ever in the future wished to enter into a partnership with another not-for-profit or to join with the VFW or the American Legion and operate separately, this restriction on this deed from 1957 would limit them. This amendment allows them to make any deal at all with any not-for-profit. However, in order to preserve, and I would refer to the attorney, to preserve the spirit and intent of what that property was initially designated for, the amendment proposed to the council would not allow that property to be sold to a private developer or to an individual in order to flip it, or any individual to make a personal profit of that property. I would propose in the same spirit that some have come up and said, too much development. We need some preservation of not-for-profits. This actually does that. It preserves a not-for-profit. The DAV is free to remain as a not-for-profit. No multi-unit development going on to make a profit or any of this nature. Or the DAV can enter into any agreement with a not-for-profit organization that serves the city of Passaic. This also allows for the DAV or any not-for-profit organization, I'll refer to the attorney, if ever they choose to want to enter into an agreement outside of the scope of this amendment, to come back to the city of Passaic and say, would you allow this? It in no way takes away the authority of the city council or the city from limiting the direction that this organization should go. In the past, unfortunately, this not-for-profit, the DAV was either limited from partnering or moving forward, or saying, hey, we were a not-for-profit, we had a great time here, we would want another not-for-profit to continue in not-for-profit activities. They were not allowed without risking losing that relationship with the city. All the amendment does is preserve the not-for-profit use and says you must go to the city if you ever want to go outside. And then it what would be an appropriate term that would be consistent with the attorney's description, it allows them to move forward with any relationship only with a not-for-profit organization. Again, some examples: the VFW, which is not the DAV, the American Legion, or any other not-for-profit, Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, whatever not-for-profit they wish to enter into an agreement or continue forward. Forgive me, attorney, am I correct in this? I want to make sure the
You're
council is.
absolutely correct. And the
Okay.
nonprofit must reside and operate in the city of Passaic. And if they ever seek to transfer it to a for-profit entity, the property will come back to us for $1.
I believe, and Council President, I know this is my report, I don't want to belay the point, but if an individual, a random individual came and said, I want to purchase it from the not-for-profit and I want to buy it for $200,000 and flip it to make a profit and make, 500,000, I want to put 50 units, would they be allowed to do this?
No, they would not.
The
property-
city would have the right to say, that's ours, it must come, if it's not used as a not-for-profit, it must go back to the city.
That is correct.
I wanted to clarify that for the community because, one, I think it's important we're always transparent as a governing board, and it's extremely important because sometimes statements are made and someone may leave with the impression that because a statement was made, that must be the fact. I wanted to clarify what was going on, and I believe those were the things that the administration, but I do want to share that the work of our police, our chief, the direction of our police, to those who have mentioned it, please understand this. I implore of you to understand this. I humbly ask you to consider this. There's not a single negative activity that adversely impacts the quality of life of our families, our residents, our taxpayers, that this city council, my administration, and all of our department heads and community members would not eliminate in a second if we had the power to do so. If we had that magic wand, we would do so. There is a judicial process. It protects us against tyranny, against dictatorship. Sometimes it hinders us when we want something done right away. When it comes to development, we try to consider 25 years from now, not just 5 years from now. There are different opinions. We base our decisions on studies, conversations, and sometimes we juxtapose our city to comparative cities and say, this works here and it's worked there before. Know that this governing body truly works hard to represent you and the department heads that have been entrusted with their roles, their positions, approved through this council, vetted through departments like human resources. They are hired and it is made clear their job is to improve services and preserve quality of life in this city. We will continue to try to get it right. I've been to other council meetings where they stay to 3 o'clock in the morning. I've seen and witnessed meetings where residents and council members have been this close to fisticuffs, to fighting. And I go, what's going on there? I would propose to you that if the very worst is that we go back and forth in words, Council President, you have done a tremendous job in setting a tone. Council members, I commend you. Kudos to you, because we are now arguing if we have too much development. There was a time where we were concerned if anybody would invest in Passaic. We are now debating whether we have too many opportunities for affordable housing, for parking. Did you ever imagine we would get to a point where someone would say, maybe it's too much on the parking? I know, I make light of some, but the truth is, these are good debates. It's a healthy debate, and it's evidence of a community in the right direction. Not perfect. To our attorneys, congratulations to our remarkably hardworking, committed acting clerk that has been serving in that office for many, many years and has been a true blessing. To your entire staff, to all those who make a difference, thank you. And I said I would conclude, but I'm going to finish with this. Yesterday, I found our mail clerk walking into City Hall. Isabel Rodrigo, she's sitting in the audience. As I was driving to work, I was stopped at a crosswalk because I take this opportunity to remind people, you have to stop at the crosswalk when pedestrians are crossing. It's the law. So I was stopping at the crosswalk. You can't go by it. Many people, it's not a law in New York, so they forget about it. And I witnessed her. She didn't see me pick up trash in front of City Hall, put in the garbage. I took a picture. As she was walking in, me and the business administrator were returning from lunch. Those who wondered, we went to get some ribeye steak because we knew we would have a long meeting the next day. This was yesterday. And I stopped Isabel and I showed her the picture. And I thanked her because she didn't know I was there. It's those little things that we do that don't get noticed. We get excited about the ribbon cutting, the shovels to the ground, the press release. What we rarely get to highlight are those moments when someone decides, I'm going to pick up my neighbor's can because it was turned over by the wind. I'm going to pick up a banner and bring it back to City Hall because it honors those who served in uniform and who stand up for those most sacred values and rights that we enjoy every day of freedom and liberty, pursuit of happiness. I'm going to show kindness to someone. I'm going to help a senior citizen cross the street. Facebook isn't there. Instagram's not around, probably because the mayor didn't have his phone up. To all of you who make this city better every day and don't get recognized, to those of you who challenge us and make us rise to the occasion, to those who push back, and to those who don't agree with us, thank you. Thank you, because working all together, that's how our city, our great city, will succeed. Thank you, Council President, for allowing me and indulging me those extra minutes to share.
Thank you, Mayor. There being no other business publicly advertised required by law on the agenda tonight, that being the case, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
So move it.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please, to adjourn.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, meeting is adjourned.